Well, hello there, everybody. I know it goes on very fast these days when it clicks over. And yeah, John Denver. Missed the dude, man. Was out in California when he met his crossover. Bosto to everyone, favor to all you beautiful people. Happy birthday to those who are having one, and welcome. Boy, it is a fabulous day. Just got to tell you, in the neighborhood. Um, let's see what's going on. Hey, tonight, Nina the Mystic over on her channel. 10 p.m. I believe Eastern time. She has, I think, her Hump Day show. So check it out. A lot of fun over there. Hey Susie, what's up? What about the hey Dragon Soul Fox? Always remember the glass is always full. Even if you think it's empty, it's always full. There's no such thing as empty space. So, air. Yeah, just how you look at it. So Dean, I saw your comments earlier. Listen, if you got insight on the Serpent Seed, always enjoy having people on and talk about it. It's one of the things that, as you saw yesterday on Trina and on our show, A Second Look, Judith was great. Always enjoy having her on. But if you take it from that point of view and that perspective, that's what the universe is, and that's what we are, we're screwed. I mean, whatever the intent was, doesn't matter. And the stories that we're hearing, reading about, I mean, what's the difference of a story that is said because they call it the pseudo apocrypha? That's their way of saying, nah, 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 nah. You know, we have the only true story. Nobody got the true story. Whatever that true story was, it took a hack a long time ago. And so what we've got now are just the remnants, you know, trying to figure this thing out. We're getting close. Today, we're going to have a really good time. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time just jibber jabbing on here. I want to thank Tina Bop. She sent a great book that we're going to make it. The synchronicities amongst this group are off the chart. That's all I got to say. Off the chart, because it fits seamlessly into what we're reading. We're reading about this expulsion, and who knows what the hell it is. I mean, they were aliens, whoever they were, the Elohim, the whoever, the Anunnaki, they were aliens, pure and simple. And like we were discussing yesterday, so they were smart. I'm finding out that higher intelligence doesn't necessarily mean higher common sense. And higher intelligence is not a escalated point on a chart of being more ascended than us. I think you can be highly intelligent and be dumber than dirt. I mean, you're just a dumbass. You may be smart, granted, but in every other way, you're just a dumbass. And I think that's what the Elohim were. I think they were a bunch of dumbasses. It's obviously they didn't have a clue as to what they were doing. And we're reading now this story that has so much intrigue. Because, listen, if you're talking about the serpent was not a Homo sapien, we're assuming. And so you have a cross species intermingling of blood. Wow. It would make one think, again, this is just common sense, and I get it. Most people have a difficult time comprehending common sense, but nevertheless, so if we are of a bloodline that has been rebuked, portrayed as evil, the base, low, whatever the case may be, It would behoove us to get out there and figure out what the hell's going on, Sam. So that's what we're going to do. Hey, Robert V, what's up? Kent Cook is in the house. Good to see. Hey, Loretta, Spirit Woman, Colorado. How are you doing? Okay, I need to turn that off. And then we get back over here. So let's dumbass. You know, my 5th grade teacher, Miss Buttons, she was, I can see her clearly. She was well into her 70s. I lived in a very small town in Texas called Genoa, and she knew a lot of the suffering that I was going through, but I was a really smart kid, and she knew that. And so, little story here, and then we'll get into right to our study. She asked if I would come the next day after school had let out for the summer and come pack things up and help her out. And I said, sure. And she bought lunch. And for me, that was a big deal. We didn't have a lot of food period time in my childhood. But anyway, I can remember down in Southeast Texas, it gets hot early. And we were sitting on the sills of the classroom there and eating. And she looked at me and she said, you know, Wayne, she says, you're an exceptionally bright young man. And she says, but I want to tell you something. She says, remember, an ounce of common sense will outdo a pound of book learning any day. Immortal words from a very wise spirit woman. So remember that. Look around. That's the one thing that I contend is lacking today in the world. We've lost the ability of common sense. It's gone. We're so far into the deception that people don't want common sense anymore. There's a whole generation that doesn't even know what it, never even heard the term, and much less the meaning of it. Weird. So let's check this out. And again, Tina Bob, thank you so much for getting recommending this. Give me 1 second here as he goes from one to yeah, there we go, because this is really cool. I'm getting it queued up. So smoke them if you got them. Drink if you want to. It's all cool. Okay. All right. Yeah, this is really, there we go. Hey, how y'all doing? I'm driving the bus. It's all right. I know where we are. Just relax. It's cool. Everything is just fine. All right. So now we'll go over here. No, we'll go over here. No, we'll go over here. All right. This is a great book. Tina put it on the Discord chat room. So the link is there. Everyone can get it there. We're not going to go through the whole part of the book because we're going to finish up with the Adam and Eve story, see what Eve has to say about all this. Anyway, this is The Forbidden Religion by Jose M. Hara Aragon. I believe that's how you would say that. Very interesting. So check this out. So this is the infinite and eternal uncreated plane of the unknowable God. I love this. This is what I have been saying for years. The gods of this world, the Christian God, the Jewish God, the Islamic God, the Hindu God, the Buddha God, I don't know what God they are, but they are not the God. It has been so contaminated and polluted in its construct that I reject when someone says, talking to me about God, I'm going, oh boy, because you can categorize it very quickly. There is something above. Now, he represents this by spirit. Then he talks about a bridge that must be built to liberate the spirit. Why? As our conversation was yesterday, I contend that the spirit and the soul can be, in fact, separated of the same personification of the same entity. The soul will take with it its memory as well as the spirit, but the two will go and separate. Because there's evidence that some spirits do, in fact, ascend. They are already on the list. It is their soul that weighs them down, and they look forward to the day of shedding the spirit body and the soul so that the spirit can ascend. But in this case, if you want to look to keep that, maybe that identity there, because it's fun having a soul, it really is. A soul is the one how we feel all this. And the soul is much more akin to the spirit of the body than it is to the spirit of the spirit. So on this plane, we have a limited and the inferior created plane of a creator god or a demiurge with space and time. Now, this is important because we're going to learn there is no Satan, there is no Lucifer, there is no devil, but there is evil. And evil, it's interesting because in this context, evil is time. Let's go on. So as we get down in here, and this is a great book. I mean, we're going to get into the primordial Gnosis. We're going to go all the way down into the creation of man. And then I want to get over to the rest of it because this really adds the whole taste to the sauce. And we're making the sauce over on the story with Adam and Eve. We get into Lucifer, the liberator, Satan, the oppressor, three kinds of man, body, soul, spirit, the unknowable God. Get the book. You'll love it. It's good reading. You'll learn. All right. So the primordial Gnosis is knowledge, wisdom. That is the meaning of the word Gnosis, which is knowledge. But we are not just referring to a knowledge here. The Gnosis or the Gnosis is a very special knowledge. It is knowledge that causes a great transformation in those who receive it. I contend many of us we have been separated already. I know there's a number of us that we are separated. We would not do well in chit-chat conversations. I ain't got time for that. Great to see you, but if we're going to be in this time, in this space, let's share knowledge. And I ain't going to get it by knowing what, blah, 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 blah. You get what I'm saying? Knowledge capable of nothing less than waking up and spiritually liberating those who acquire it. That is its purpose. To throw light on the status of human beings and to try to wake up man and help him escape from the prison in which he finds himself. That is the reason why this knowledge has been repeatedly under attack throughout the course of history, because it is knowledge considered dangerous for the religious and political authorities who govern mankind from the shadows. For that reason, the Gnosis has always remained occult. The Gnosis is a secret knowledge only accessible to those who who deserve to have it. That's a whole different context. Not everybody deserves to have the Gnostic knowledge. Different religions throughout history have tried to keep man ignorant of this knowledge, of this type of knowledge called the Gnosis. Now we will find out why. The author says, I am calling this a primordial Gnosis in the pure form of knowledge. It is always the same and will never change as long as the spiritual situation in which man finds himself and all that we call creation or world don't change. On the few occasions in the past in which primordial Gnosis was openly exposed, it was not in its pure form, but was adapted in the cultural and historical particularities of the time and place. However, primordial Gnosis has been behind almost every theological and philosophical system which has been branded as a heretic, forbidden, persecuted, and forced to become occultism. By examining this forbidden knowledge, it is possible to recover the pieces necessary to reconstruct the whole of that which is the primordial Gnosis. And if that knowledge were to be discovered and written down, it would be a very powerful and disturbing book. It would be the most dangerous text in the world, capable of waking up and liberating those who read and study it. Such a book would be a strange object in this created world, something not fabricated here, but coming from somewhere else, from another world completely different to this one. It would also be capable of surviving flames as well as time. Pretty powerful book. Throughout this book, the author says, I will try to keep as close to the possible to that which was and is the primordial Gnosis, the Gnostic knowledge in its pure form. Groovy. I'm on board. Let's get this bad boy going then. All right. Matter is evil. All religions maintain that matter is good. The world is good. It was created by God. And God is just. God is good and created something good for man. That is why the Bible says, and God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw that light was good. Primordial Gnosis, which we can from now on just call Gnosis with capital letters to differentiate it from other false Gnosis, which has appeared throughout the course of history, maintains the opposite. Matter is evil. Things are dropping like boom, bam, and impure. Matter is the prison of the spirit. This material world is hell. Matter is evil. And if matter is evil, it follows that its creator must also be evil. For Gnostics, the material world, this world, was created not by a good and just God, but by a creator, Satan. Matter is something satanic. Therefore, whoever created it must also be satanic being. Well, we know, at least from the cat who's being blamed, the satanic Bible, that there is no Satan. It's just a force. I think this kind of would fall into that as well. I don't think it's a stretch, but isn't it interesting? Now, I bet the majority would say, okay, well, we can pretty much define which of the two we're talking about. But most of us in this group know that isn't the case. Okay, time is evil. The Bible doesn't say so, but time started with the Big Bang. Now, I know a lot of people can go, wait a minute, with the Big Bang, just follow the text, would you? At the very start of creation, when God, little g, said, let there be light, these four words could not have been spoken if time hadn't existed. Time was created by the Creator God when He created light. The first great explosion and expansion could not have existed without time. Time and space were created together and are thus inseparable. Time is the breath of the Creator God, small g. And all his creation, the expansion of the universe, the evolution of species, the gradual development of his plan could not occur without time. According to the Gnostics, the time breath of the Creator God is as satanic as matter and as satanic as the Creator God himself. We live in an inverted reality. The Pope's known this. So let's talk about the Creator God, because he has a role to play over this Adam and Eve story. In the first centuries of our era, many of the Gnostic sects viewed the Creator God not as a good or just being, but as a satanic one. Many of them likened him to Satan. The Gustavo Adolfo Bequer relates in one of his accounts how the creator god Brahma created worlds like bubbles, and how he experimented with them, as sometimes they turned out good and sometimes not so good. The creator God is not a completely perfect God, but apparently quite inept. Really? Now they're telling us? Really? Like we didn't figure this one out already. There are worlds which turned out badly and he had to destroy them. There are worlds that turned out better. He tries, he practices, he creates through trial and error. The Bible says, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw light, that it was good. How? Didn't he know? Didn't he know it was something good? Whoa, folks. That is why Gnostics say we are in the presence of a creator ignorant of the effects of his creation. We have studied many things on this channel, and they all dovetail together. This is what Lilith said. This is what Lucifer said. This is what Satan said. This is what King Og said of the Rephaim and the Nephilim. They told us about this God. And folks, I have said this and I'll continue to say it over and over again. This light is hell. Our natural condition is darkness. It's not the darkness that we have been perceived to be, because in this illicit light is also the illicit darkness. Let's go on. Likewise, the Creator God always maintains that he is the only one. He doesn't just say it once, he says it all the time. He is constantly saying, I am the only God. I'm the only God. Look at me. There is no other God. I am your God. I'm the only one, but I'm a jealous little prick. Well, if you're the only one, why are you jealous? Dude's got a problem, man. Anyway, I continue. We all know that when someone repeats the same thing over and over again, it is because they are not sure of what they are saying, which is why they have to repeat it so often. The Gnostics' interpretation of this is that the Creator suspects, since he is not altogether sure, that there is another big G God higher than him. a God infinitely more superior to him, much bigger, much more important than him. And that is what he is trying to hide by incessantly repeating, I am the only one. I mean, you get tired of it when you read it. When I was a Christian, I mean, it was redundant. I am the Lord God. I am the Lord. All right. Yeah. All right. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Without a doubt, this creator God is the creator of the world, of all the worlds, the planets, the universe, matter, and time. He is responsible for what physicists today call the Big Bang. Everything maintained by modern physics, that everything started with a huge explosion, a flash of light, coincides with most of the myths of all religions concerning the creation of the world. First, God created light. Then he created various other things until he managed to create animals and then finally man. Doesn't this give you the warm and fuzzy? Kind of give you an idea where we're on the totem pole? Yikes. All these myths in the Bible and other religious books agree with the modern day conclusions of physicists and biologists concerning the creation of the world and man. Of course, this creation is full of mistakes and is imperfect. And if this world is imperfect, if matter is imperfect, or if everything that exists in the universe is imperfect, it is because the creator of all this is an imperfect being. Today, a Gnostic would say, for example, dinosaurs were a stupid idea. It was a mistake. Think about it. What was the purpose of the dinosaurs? What purpose did they serve? They were here for a very long time. Now, I would contend that they were the natural poopers. The earth needed manure. Dinosaurs provided that in abundance, didn't they? And then they work it into the ground. I mean, if you weigh 100 tons, you're going to, how shall we say, put the crap all the way through the earth, right? Just another thought. Uh, the creator had to wipe them out, eliminate them all, and start again with another experiment until he managed to do something with which he was satisfied. This goes along with the Anunnaki. This goes along with the Sumerian folklore, the whole Mesopotamian, the Far East. I mean, it all comes together because the creator God has plans. We will be looking later at what those are about. You see, the whole contention is if this God gave man free will, he can't bitch because man said, up yours, and chose man's way. You can't say, oh, now, wait a minute. It wasn't really free will. I just tricked you. Now, if the creator of the world is satanic, then who the hell are these Elohim? Gets back to who the hell was the serpent and why? Let's continue. Physicists also maintain, Albert Einstein for one, that the universe is not something infinite, but is like a kind of bubble in which all creation is contained. Our background radiation images of what the universe is from our perspective shows it is a bubble. This creation is limited. The universe is finite, claimed Einstein. It is like a huge bubble with which everything created by the creator God is contained. And we do not know what exists outside of this. Gnosis claims to know, and we shall now see. In sacred books of various religions, which are said to be inspired by the creator God of the universe, we are related facts, details, which show the creator God to be an imperfect being and not entirely good. He is sometimes portrayed as being vindictive, bad-tempered, arrogant, insecure, and indecisive. Remember, Moses said, repent out of the sin of your heart. Wait a minute, how could God, the perfect God, have sin in his heart? He is sometimes as a God who loves sacrifice in his name. He is a God who loves genocide and who orders people to kill others and their belongings, land, people, and livestock to be taken away. He gives orders to kill not only his enemies, but also women, children, and animals. We've covered that extensively here. A God who commits genocide. This God demands sacrifices in his name since he loves the smell of the burnt flesh. This guy's been listening to our noon get-togethers of the victims sacrificed at the altar. This is a God who caused the flood. How many hundreds of thousands of men drowned in the flood? This is how it is related in the Bible and other pre-biblical texts, like that of the Babylonian flood, for example, the Epic of Gilgamesh. He has a taste for sacrificing people and animals and for the spilt blood of his enemies. He likes to be admired, adored, served, feared, and obeyed. He likes the temples built in his honor, the rituals, the commandments, the accomplishments of his orders, the prayers sent up to him. He likes the pain suffered by all his living beings, the torture, the suffering. Ancient Gnostics used to call him Il-Deboath, which means son of chaos. Sometimes he was called Sabot, the god of exertion. They also used to call him Cosmorocrator, or the Great Archonte, the creator and arranger of matter. But the name most commonly given to him by Gnostics is the demiurge, Greek for creator. Without a doubt, this superior being cannot be good, and throughout history, those who maintain these ideas that I am relating, were naturally persecuted or paid with their lives for daring to say that which for them was the truth. A superior being who loves war, filicide, and who orders the genital mutilation of boys cannot possibly be a good God. This is why Gnostics likened him to Satan. They considered him to be a creator Satan. We now know with the destiny of Gnostics, their doctrines and books were to be, they were set on fire, destroyed. Such is the destiny of those called heretics, as they have been dubbed throughout the course of history. I have been branded a heretic in writing. This world, created by the Creator God, belongs only to him. All the physical things in this world respond to him, adore him, admire him. Of course, the doctrines of which we are giving accounts are condemned and to be persecuted forever, and are not going to have much influence or enjoy great success. Only a brave minority can study, interpret, or maintain these ancient and eternal Gnostic ideas, and they are unquestionably in enemy territory. We are, folks. They know us. But Gnosis is always present in this strange world in which it does not belong. And this Gnostic thought, opposed to all conventionally established ideas, is the most persecuted and rejected of all. There are subjects which should not be touched, things which should not be said, books which ought to disappear, since we live in a world in which we only have the freedom to say 2 plus 2 is 4. This world is an enemy ground for a Gnostic. A Gnostic will be able to appear, speak, and quickly disappear, since all creation will automatically turn against him. How many years ahead could Jesus Christ predict according to the Christian myth? Only 3. But in these 3 years, a successful religion was formed, which has now been known on earth for nearly 2,000 years. We are saying that this world is an enemy ground for a Gnostic, because the whole of this material world and all the beings that populate it are made from matter and are devotees of matter. They belong to and defend matter and its creator, and cannot conceive of anything different. All those opposed to the material world and the creator God are dangerous and must be destroyed. Gnosis is therefore perceived as something unthinkable and horrific, which must be eliminated. Gnostics have represented the creator God as something horrific, taking the form of an octopus. What? Or reptile. What? Sometimes with the head of a pig, a wild boar, or a donkey. This is why certain religions forbid the consumption of these animals. He has also been represented as something similar to the demiurgic Baphomet of the Templars and the followers of certain Masonic sects. Some Gnostics have also represented the creator God as a huge, multi-eyed wild boar, half asleep, which exhales breath of time, since, as we have said, time is the breath of this creator God. Unquestionably, this world is not good. Animals have to rip each other apart and destroy each other in order to eat and survive. Human beings need to cheat on each other in all ranks of life to be better themselves, to compete, and to survive better. Herbivores need to destroy plants, which are also living beings. Everything is constantly destroying itself and others. And there are those which call this perfection or perfect balance. Are you kidding me? Incredible. No. It is a system in which everyone has to destroy something else in order to survive. This is the system created. This is the world created by a superior being, the creator God or the demiurge, who, by the way, cannot take any personal responsibility. See, that's the problem with this being. As Lilith said, it drives it literally insane, and that's why it stays inside a cloud, to shield it from the reality of truth. It never shows up unless there's a cloud. Now, some of us who study, we know what this cloud is. It's called the Shekinah glory of God. And it is as a veil, or a cape, or if you want to say it, that he will not emerge out of. Now you know why. Well, Lilith told us why. The creation of the world. We're probably going to get through this, and then tomorrow we'll pick up with Adam and Eve. This is definitely a 3-parter any way you look at it. We have already seen that Gnostics maintain that the demiurge or creator God is quite an inept and ignorant being, that he ignores the effects that each of his creations will have. He tries things out, progressing in his creations through trial and error. We have also compared the myths regarding the creation of the world with the Big Bang of modern physics. There is an extraordinary book written by Oscar Kiss Mareth called The Beginning Was the End, in which is clearly stated the parallel between Genesis of the Bible and modern physics, both positions in perfect agreement. Gnostics used to say, for example, that this God is a God who gets tired, who needs to rest on the seventh day, and that because of this, he cannot be an absolutely perfect God. Gnostics always maintain that the universe was created by a demiurge, by a perverse and wicked creator. They were always wondering why the universe is so imperfect. It is like this because it was created by an equally imperfect being. It was made in his image and resemblance. Another interesting thing about the myths of various religions is that the creator isn't creating alone. He says, let us make, as if there were many creators working together. I keep telling you this, folks. We ain't all from the same being. We'd all like to think that. And this brings up the whole issue of then what is the Adam and Eve story? But because think about this. So what was Adam a Caucasian? What color was Adam? Black, brown, yellow, red, white? Because whatever color he is, that's what this God is as well. Anyway, as if there were many creators working together. Let us make this, let us make that. The Bible says, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Us, are, why? Who are the others? Who else is he creating with? Now, this is where the invention of the Trinity come in, because they couldn't explain it. And so man had to create something. Augustine, in his book on the Trinity, skillfully and wittingly says it once very clearly. The Creator says, let us make, in the plural, because he is speaking of the three divine persons, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The problem with this is, folks, why this is a blatant lie, is that because they're trying to imprint their new religion, their new God, over the Judaic background of this God. Because the Judaic, the Hebraic approach to God is not a trinity. If anything, it would be a cube. But let's go on. The Creator says, who are three and yet one at the same time. Well, then that's a split personality disorder. If you meet your person on the street that's talking to you in the first person of three people, you're going to be laying hands on that dude and casting out that thing. That's all I got to say. That is why God speaks in the plural. Augustine never returns to the issue. He settles the matter like this once and for all. By God, you will believe it, or we're going to hang your ass. Oh, okay, yeah. For Gnosis, the demiurge is not alone in his task of material creation, forming different worlds, evolutionary processes, beings, and entities. In India, for example, they call them devas, constructing devas. They are the angels who help with creation. They are inferior to the creator, God, but they are with him, helping him. The creator God has delegated many tasks to the creating angels. This was believed in ancient Babylon and the religions of the ancient East. Innumerable creating angels help the creator to develop his plan in the material world, or as the Gnostics would say, in the hellish world of matter, which he creates and gives form to. The creator God is the one in charge, but he relies on an army of helpers, of constructing angels, demons who support him in his creation and carry out his orders. Hell could not exist if it wasn't by permission. The construct today. This is why in Genesis the character is called Elohim. The Bible story begins in this way. Bersherit bara Elohim. And I'm sure I mispronounced the first one. In the beginning, the gods created. Because Elohim in Hebrew is plural and means gods, lords. Gnostics point out that these gods are the demiurge and his constructing angel demons, which in great numbers, millions of them, I contend trillions, help him in his task of creation. Even in systems of thought that oppose Gnosis, those which see the creation of the world as something good, we hear mention of these constructing helpers and their hierarchies into which they are divided according to their functions. The Apostle Paul went through great length to list out the hierarchy. Very interesting study if you separate it out of the context and really look at it from where it came. It's very insightful. There are modern theosophical texts like those of Belinsky and Bailey, among others, in which we can find out more about their names and duties. The regent of the earth, for example, is Saint Kumara. Changing around the two letters gives us the real name, Satan Kumara, a name that is hardly hidden, since human beings still must not know the truth or the future that the Creator has in store for them. It is better, then, that this character's name is not widely known. For now, mankind is still not ready for the news that the planet Earth has a regent who is a Satan, small s. A Satan, small s, inferior to the other one, the big one, the main one. The most important one is this created material system, this finite universe, which is limited and full of imperfectionists, which he has managed to create. Do you ever get the idea that you feel screwed? You want to know why we want to escape? This is another version of what we have been reading all along, but I love it because if we're going to get a 360-degree view, we cannot stop when we get to 359. In Gnostic myths, the satanic constructors who help the demiurge are represented as monsters. The creation of man. Almost all the religious myths relate that man was created by God, big G, from the dust of the ground. The Bible clearly says, and the Lord God formed man of dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. We've talked about this and we'll continue. Then what the hell were the 6-day people? They didn't have this breath blown into them. They did not have, quote unquote, a living soul. What happened to that bloodline? And if the Adamite had this breath blown into him, how and where did it go? Didn't seem to be transferable to Eve. It is saying here that God created the body and the soul of man, a physical material part, the body of dust, and an animatic part, the breath of the Creator, which we call soul. Now then, if man were only a body and a soul, he would be like any other animal, slightly more intelligent than the others maybe, but inside he would be more or less the same as an animal. Later, we will see that after his so-called fall, man, such as we know him today, is more than a body and a soul. Although God created the body and the soul, there is something else. There is an uncreated spirit, not created by this God, not created by God, small g, which has been imprisoned, enclosed in the soul of man. Trina and I have talked many times, and I've read to you in various books where many of us did not come willingly. We were forced. We were tortured. Our fight to resist this entrapment left scars upon us that manifest in our physical bodies and the imprints of our soul on our spirits. That's why many of us have the nightmares. That's why many of us have the dreams of trying to fly and escape, and something is pulling us down. I've gotten very high, but something always pulls me back down. The Bible doesn't say so, because the Bible speaks of that created by God, and God created the body and soul. But Gnostics maintain that man has a body, a soul, and a spirit. Where did this spirit, not created by the Creator God, come from? Why is it here? Why is it there? This is one of the next issues we will be looking into. The man in Eden, this paradise in which God placed him, didn't know who he was. He was only carrying out orders. He was naming the animals, for example, being a sort of administrator or representative of the Creator God. There, in this paradise, which God had prepared for him, it was like he was asleep. He did not know who he was or where he had come from. Man became aware of who he was, found himself only after what was called the sin, the disobedience, when he ate the forbidden fruit and was thrown out of paradise. Like, get your sorry ass out, Jack. We will also be looking into this later on. Do you see how the two are going to start coinciding with each other? It's going to be cool. We have said that God created the body and soul. For Gnostics, all creation is satanic, evil, and originates from a Satan creator, a satanic demiurge. So not only the body, but also the soul of man is something evil and satanic. Whoa. We're going to finish this up. The unknowable God. For Gnostics, there exists another God higher than the one who created the world and man. The Creator God, small g, is not the only God. There is above him another God, infinitely superior and perfect. And by the way, you can read this story in the book of Psalms. I think it's Psalms 84. Backs this up 110%. Imagine. This God, unknowable to man, is outside of this hellish and impure creation. It is impossible for man to find this God via his body and soul, imperfect and created as they are. Only the man who has completely freed himself from this can have the slightest idea or inkling of intuition of what this God, who is outside this finite, limited universe, is about. Oh, folks, you know, so many of us have touched this. Yeah. Many of you are thinking right now, know it, knew it, knew it, knew it. The ancient Greeks called him Akatos Theos, the unknown God. And actually, Paul said the same thing in Ephesus. It's the interesting thing that Paul said he served an unknown God. This God, for the Gnostics, not only unknown, but rather impossible to know, unknowable, at the very least, with our ordinary form of being in this world. With a body and a soul, we cannot have the slightest idea of what this God, who is outside all this whole system and infinitely superior to the Creator God, is. A God impossible to recognize with this body and soul, from this universe created from a matter and time. This God does not belong to a material plane, but to an antimatter one. He is an antimatter God. Whoa. Who abhors the hell of the created matter, who, with current state of being, we are not able to recognize nor even imagine. He is a mystery to us. This unknowable God is like an inconceivable, indescribable fire. He is the true God. But this true God, normally out of our reach, cannot manifest himself or act in this impure and imperfect universe in these hellish dimensions of created matter and time. Only in exceptional cases can the unknowable God penetrate these dimensions through one of his messengers in order to make a generally small change and with great sacrifice. This only happens on very rare occasions, given the conditions here in this material hell. We'll break off there because the next section is the body and soul. And as I said, tomorrow we'll finish up with the Adam and Eve story. We're halfway through it and we'll get done. But I mean, downloads are happening right now. The fact is that we know now that, wow, we've all sensed it. I think that's why, I think many people are leaving organized religion. And it's not just Christianity, it's across the board. More and more spirits are saying, the hell with this. It's not working. And then once you have to, for myself, when your core beliefs all collapse and the phoenix arises within your spirit and your spirit outshines your soul, and you realize that there's something greater than what man has created by calling God. And I say man by creating it because the story all ties into it. There's a mystery still here. Us. Who gave us the spirit? We're going to find out in this version of the story. But this is what this God, this Elohim, it's why he hates us. Well, thank you, Susie Q. Boom, knowledge. Yeah. Is that because we have something it doesn't have? It desperately wants it. That's why it demands the worship, the sacrifice, the blood. Life is in the blood. Remember when Cain faced this demiurge, what the demiurge said? Your brother's blood cries out from the ground. We're going to get more into that. Blood spilt and murder and anger and these type of things, even in accidents, when it saturates into the earth, there is the essence of that individual that's left. Well, thank you, Paul Joe. Appreciate it. Yeah. So, yeah. And there's more of us. There are more of us. We realize there's something greater than this. And I contend, in fact, you can go back, I think it's been about 5 months ago, but we talked about, in fact, Trina and I talked about it on a second look. We are the antivirus now. We are, they can never put me back into a Christian God or even perceive Lucifer or Satan, because I call bullshit on all of them. Nothing real about them. This whole construct that they have done, it's imperfect. You can't judge imperfect with imperfect. It's imperfect. So there has to be something more, something that for millennia they have did their damnedest to keep out of this. And then along come this being called the internet. If I believe that this unknowable God, this antimatter God, I don't even know if you can even give it that's foolishness for us to say he, but I understand the author's point of view. But let's just say it. If there was a way for it to get through, it would be through the internet. The internet would be more akin to what it could actually inject into. You're right, Peter. We are. Loretta's going, yeah, you're probably right, Loretta. Folks, I mean, we're getting closer on this. I mean, I love this. It's ancient knowledge, and yet there is, again, channeling taking place from beings outside of this universe. I think that there may be something eventually going to challenge this God. Lilith said that. Lilith, who, whether you believe she exists or not, I don't see Lilith as evil. She's never harmed me. And there is a debt, a karmatic debt that this God is going to have to deal with. And you can't use an scapegoat for that substitution. And I have a sense that there are powerful beings beyond our comprehension that have a score to settle with this God. And I think they've had just about enough of it. Now, that's a scale beyond my comprehension, because I believe that this universe that we're in is quarantined. It's hell, not planet Earth, not a place where people go where it's fire. No, hell is this whole universe. It's why violence permeates this universe. You can't have something perfect that where pain is inflicted, destruction is taking place. Those are in balances. Charlene, Nazareth had that song, love hurts. Yeah, it does. We've all been branded. Every one of us, our first loves, remember when the Osmonds, you sang Puppy Love, and they called it puppy love. Well, we all know you have to be initiated, meaning you're going to get your freaking heart broke that first time, because there's never another love like that love. It was so innocent, inconceivable, and its complicity. It was simple. We all know it. Yet we continued on. All right. Thank you, folks. It's far out. Make sure to tune in to Nina the Mystic's channel tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. I don't know if the Milky Way Robert's got the show. I think he does one on Thursday. I'm just reading Peter's. Yeah. You see, that's just it. We all can relate to that. We know, oh yeah, know what he's talking about. But you know what? It was still the best love, wasn't it? Yeah, I know later in life that we find, our mate and, et cetera, et cetera. But, it's so true. Nothing will be like that first love. Whether it was a crush, whatever. I remember the whole thing, with Valentine's Day, right? Never got into that. Okay, I'm going off on the memory road here. Thanks, folks. See you tomorrow, and have a great day. It's a beautiful day, and take this knowledge and let it edify you. It lifts me up because I think most of us here are Gnostics. We've all been called pagans and witches and everything else, but we're really in the search for knowledge. That's what our purpose of being is. That's why there's so few of us. And I'm sure we're going to meet up on the other side. The bus is waiting for us. I know that Brian's in there and quite a few others that have passed over. They're just waiting. I don't know if they're playing Nintendo or not. Hopefully they're singing and rocking and rolling. All right, folks. We'll see you again. Peace to you, favor, and BOSTO to all of you.